guys, I'm back with another video. Today we're casually dropping the next page in my webcomic that hasn't updated for 2 years. I also wanted to do an artist Q&A today, at first for no particular occasion or reason, but now I have an occasion and a reason, because we just hit 1,000 subscribers and I'm just blown away. I'm like, thank you so much! Now I can call this 1,000 subscribers artist Q&A and not a no reason artist Q&A. And also to celebrate 1,000 subscribers, I'm updating my webcomic after 2 years, so it's just all around a really fun occasion, so thank you for giving me that occasion. So today I'm going to play in the background a time-lapse of the creation of this latest page while I answer a couple of questions. You're welcome to either watch how I make this comic page or just listen in the background as you do something else while I ramble on about things that people ask me about. I'll do my best to pronounce everyone's usernames correctly, but if I mispronounce anything, I apologize in advance. The first question here comes from Scarlet Iria from YouTube, and they ask just for me to tell you guys about myself in general. Thank you, by the way, you seem sweet too. So I guess for anybody else who's new here, hi, I'm May. I also go by Latte. I was raised in a very small woodsy town, very rural, and that upbringing has had a big influence on the stories I write, I've noticed. Throughout most of them, I've noticed a recurring theme of exploring the woods and finding secret new worlds. Fable Forest in particular is the most obvious one with its whole adventuring in the Forbidden Woods plot, but even Supernova has its moments, especially when Kyra is walking home through the woods from the festival in the first episode or first chapter of the comic, runs into Kiki, and then sort of seamlessly gets transported right into the dream world because that whole forest walk scene was just a dream to begin with. Yeah, it has an influence on the stories I write. As a kid, I used to have a lot of dreams like that about the woods I grew up in and being transported to these different worlds by going into the woods under the right conditions. It was very fun. So in a way, those feelings of childish wonder sort of live on through the stories I write. It's not like I intentionally want to write about like the same concept over and over again, but just in case you notice certain patterns, that hopefully explains why. What else about me? Spring is my all-time favorite season. I just always love when it starts getting warm out after being cold for so long. I'm a little bit biased because I was born in May. I personally believe that early May just happens to be the peak of spring, just because all the leaves are finally back on the trees and the weather is finally consistently warm and it's usually very sunny. But I also love a good rainstorm. Like, the bigger the storm, the better. Like with thunder and winds and lightning, I love it. I also love snowstorms. Sunny weather is nice, but cozy indoor weather where there's a storm raging outside is just the best. As my username implies, I do love lattes, and I love a good latte swirl, which is when you pour the milk and it makes all the swirls in the drink. Ah, beautiful. I love it every time. I used to be primarily a coffee drinker, but lately I've been drinking more black tea because it's easier on my stomach. I also love matcha, and not the fake sweet kind. I want the good, authentic, bitter, tastes like grass matcha. It's not supposed to be sweet. If it doesn't taste like grass, then I don't want it. Don't mess with the matcha, it's fine how it is. Switching topics here, another thing that I think has an impact on the art that I make and my general style is my favorite games and anime. Some of those include, well, some of my all-time favorite games are Animal Crossing, Pokemon, Harvest Moon, and some of my favorite anime are Tokyo Mew Mew, Princess Tutu, and Lucky Star. Let me know if we have similar tastes, because I love talking about the things I love. Okay, I think that's enough about me. Let's move on to the second question, and it comes from 2am Psychosis from Instagram, and they ask, for how long have you been drawing? I honestly remember drawing literally ever since I could hold a pencil, so probably from the time I was a toddler. I was always drawing and making up little characters and being inspired by the things I liked, like Pokemon and Neopets and Tamagotchi. And I used to draw a lot of funny, weird, like inside joke type comics with my sister too. I still have a ton of old notebooks because I never used sketchbooks when I was little. It was only printer paper and lined notebooks that I would draw in. But I have a ton of those with all of my old childhood art that's super nostalgic to go through once in a blue moon. In school, I was one of the only people who drew as much as I did or had as much of an interest as I did in drawing, so I quickly became known as the art kid. As far as digital art, I remember being in my elementary school art room around like first or second grade and seeing a paper on the wall that had written instructions on how to find MS Paint on any computer. And I remember being like, what? I was so curious about it. So I went home on my ancient Dell laptop and I found MS Paint and I just like went crazy. I wish I still had some of my earliest digital drawings, but unfortunately that old laptop has been long dead, long gotten rid of. But somehow I did save a few older MS Paint drawings from transition to computer. Like each time I would transition to a new computer, like some of the old files were salvaged from the previous one. So I have this one from a recent hard drive rescue and it's from like a few computers back. back, but it's still not old enough to have been one of my very first computer drawings. But this one in particular looks very much similar to what I clearly remember one of my first digital anime drawings being like on MS Paint. It was quite literally just 3/4 style face portrait, and it was kind of like this, if it gives you an idea. So yeah, traditional art I've been drawing for as long as I could hold a pencil, so probably around I was a toddler basically, and digital art since I was in 1st or 2nd grade. The third question comes from Little Gemini on Instagram, and it's, why did you start drawing? So my earliest motivations for wanting to draw was basically because I wanted to make fan art of the shows I watched when I was a kid. In particular, in the very beginning, all I wanted to draw was Maisie characters. Maisie was one of my favorite shows when I was little, and I would watch reruns of it on VHS tapes, and I would sometimes pause it and draw different frames. And that's honestly how I started drawing, to be honest. That's going way back, so far back that I'm like happy I even remember that. Then later, approaching elementary school, it would turn into various different interests that I would draw fan art of, and also my own inspired characters of, including Pokemon, Hamtaro, Neopets, including the fairies, they're the best, Tamagotchi, and also warrior cats. In elementary school, that was my friends and I's favorite game to play recess. We would draw our clan characters and their names and stats and stuff. It was a lot of fun, and that's one of those things that I feel so old when I see people today still reading the series and making OCs for it and stuff. It's a really weird feeling. Lately, a lot of things have been making me like feel my age, and I don't know how to feel about it. The next question comes from Little Gemini again, and it's, what's your favorite things to draw? So my favorite things to draw, the things that are well within my comfort zone, are cute anime girls in a shoujo style, cats or cat-like creatures, anthros, but I also really love drawing realistic portraits and realistic animals too. But even when I venture into realism, I prefer mostly drawing girls and mostly mammalian creatures. When I was a kid, I loved drawing eyes the most and would draw really detailed anime eyes, because that's like when I was starting to get really curious about anime and wanting to get into it. But now I feel like eyes that I draw now are very simple. I don't know what my favorite feature is to draw anymore. Maybe it's just the whole face, because I like making cute expressions. I also love drawing food and fruits, especially strawberries. You see a lot of strawberries a lot in my sketchbooks and stuff. For the 5th question, I'm going to combine 2 questions that I received regarding how I come up with the designs of my OCs from Paula Olino and Tisha Imara. So when I come up with an OC design, it usually starts out very indulgent, for lack of a better word. Like, I'll usually create a character with features that I think are cool or cute, and then sort of design around that or let it evolve from there. Some have features that are inspired by games or anime I like. So for example, Cairo originally started out as an Animal Crossing OC of mine, but eventually just turned into a proper character from an original story. Her hairstyle is from my favorite one in Wild World, the short with side bangs and pink, and she wears a 4-leaf clover because my character would do the same. Her dream world persona, Autumn, has a big bow, which was inspired by Rima or Clown Drop from Shugo Kira, and all the Supernova Girls' Dreamworld designs were inspired by various magical girl outfits I'd seen. I feel like for them, the biggest influence was Purikua. I just really liked how each character had such a strong silhouette and bright hair. I also chose hair colors that were very different from their civilian forms, because I never liked it when a character would transform and they would look very recognizable, but like people would still somehow not recognize them. I just wanted them to be very unrecognizable when they transformed. But anyway, I loved the big poofy skirts and like the shorts underneath. By the way, they have shorts underneath their dresses. You never see them, but they do. And then the card suits on their faces, I just came up with that myself because I thought it was a really cute idea and it made them look even more like a team. My very first OC I remember making in 6th grade. Her name was Tanuki, and she was a cat coon, and also at the same time kind of an Animal Crossing fan character with a backstory of being related to Tom Nook somehow. And the shirt she wears is a simple design that I would always make in each game at the Able Sisters, so that was my very first OC that I can remember making, and that's how she was designed. To this day, even as recent as with the Fable Forest characters, I go through the same process. I start out with a concept, or in this story's case, a species of animal that they are, and just sort of build up from there, build up the character design with different traits that I think are pleasing or work well together. Nike in particular was a very indulgent character design. I think I was just dying to have a cute cat-like OC, even though she turned out not to be a cat. Just like cute animal ears OC in general, because that was basically the type of character I would make when I was a kid, mostly anyway. So when designing Nike, I didn't consult anything, I wasn't inspired by anything necessarily. I just wanted to sit down and create a character with just a bunch of traits that I thought were adorable and see what it looked like. And then Nike, the little fox with honey-colored sunset hair, a sprout, strawberry earrings, and an oversized sweater was born. More recently, I've been trying to get back into practicing character design to make more characters that aren't necessarily part of a story, which is weirdly hard for me. I found that mood boards are a good way to get inspired and combine different colors and and aesthetics you might not have thought of and find traits that work well together. You can either make mood boards yourself by finding various pictures that inspire you on Pinterest, or you can find pre-made ones on Pinterest as well. I'm learning kind of too late in my art career how important the use of references is, and I would say the same can be applied to character design too. I feel like sometimes my character designs of the past, they would turn out to be very simple or plain, especially in their outfits and stuff, because I didn't consult a proper reference for like their particular outfit design. But also, like, in my defense, my characters and style veered on the simpler side because I was an animator and then a comic artist in my adolescent art years, and I had to have characters that were simple and easy to reproduce, so that explains that too. So ultimately, it comes down to basically the designs I come up with for my original characters are because I find certain traits cute or cool or pleasing, or they have a deep meaning to me. Like, I have a few characters that I basically met in a dream and designed them the way I remember seeing them in the dream, or some were inspired by a game that I liked and designed them off of my Sona from a particular game. And I refine my characters' designs a lot too as I get older and my style improves and stuff, and as I flesh out their individual personalities and backstories, that can have an impact on their appearance and outfits and traits and stuff as well. Question number 6 is a couple of questions from Sarah Lee. We have favorite ice cream flavor, favorite animal to draw, and places I want to visit. Okay, so this is gonna sound like the most boring answer ever, but listen, hear me out. I love a good tried and true high quality vanilla ice cream. Not only is it so versatile, you can eat it with all sorts of different treats, it also just hits on its own. It just doesn't need anything. It's just like a good vanilla. I promise it's not boring. It's so good. Bonus, if you have it in a cone with rainbow sprinkles, divine. So simple, yet so good. Do you guys remember that Codename Kid Next Door episode with the forbidden 4th flavor of ice cream? That episode is my Roman Empire. I think about it like actually so much. I'm just saying, a good high quality, like a good brand like Tillamook or Haagen-Dazs, or there's a local brand of ice cream around us that we have that is just really good. Like a good quality vanilla ice cream is my 4th flavor. I don't care if vanilla is already one of the first 3 flavors. It's my 4th flavor too. It's so good. So yeah, my favorite is vanilla. Answer for the second one is going to be kind of boring too because it's a little bit predictable. I'm so sorry. My favorite animal to draw, realistic or stylized, is a cat or any cat-like creature. I just never get tired of them. They're peak animal design. Their little triangle ears and teddy bear paw pads and fluffy tails. That's true art. Although reptiles are also very fun to draw, like lizards and stuff, and I also love possums because their little mouths when they open them are like little triangles, and I love it. It's so cute. They're so like threatening with all their teeth, but they don't do anything. I love possums and they're so fun to draw too. For places I want to visit, there's a cute little cobblestone town in France. I think it's called Colmar that's really cute. I'd also love to visit Switzerland or Iceland because I heard they're really beautiful. One day eventually I'd love to go to Hawaii too. I haven't been to a ton of tropical places, so I think that would be cool. On that note, I'd love to visit Okinawa as well, or Hokkaido. I've always wanted to try Hokkaido ice cream. I just want a good vanilla Hokkaido milk ice cream. That would be the best. Question number 7 is from Lunod, and it is, which artists inspire you? So there are a lot of artists that inspire me. I actually have a whole list of them that I made one day when I was trying to see what qualities I'm drawn to or resonate with in my own art style. There's a few different categories of inspiration though too, so I'll just list one artist that I have listed that inspires me for each. For classic anime style, one of my favorite artists is Namface. I just love how simple and cute her faces are, in addition to the intricate level of detail that she puts into outfits and environments. I admire her creativity in drawings with multiple characters interacting, and her masterpieces of fully rendered scenes. They're just absolutely beautiful. She used to make a lot of Pokemon art, and I have a couple of the Pokemon related art books she made. Yeah, she was like my favorite back in the day. For kimono/anthro style, MD Loon has one of the most charming and sweet styles I have ever seen. I love her use of color, her dynamic, whimsical painterly style, and the way she crafts environments for her adorable characters. And I love the way she designs her characters, especially the kimono ones. Huge inspiration to me. I want to make characters that cute too. For semi-realism and general visual development, Ellen Torrey is one of my favorites. She doesn't seem to be as active anymore, but I truly admire the way she's able to craft a composition of the settings and environments she makes, and her use of lighting and mood and the characters that she creates from different themes are extremely creative. She's a great one. For animation, Kudlow honestly makes some of the most fluid, creative, highly skilled, and like perfectly synced animations I've ever seen. Animation is something I used to do more of when I was younger, but if I ever got back into it, Kudlow would be like one of my top inspirations for sure. And for comics, Ali Malat, who creates the ongoing self-published manga Magical Princess Sky, is one of my biggest inspirations. Her series is so comfy and pleasing to read, and she is very skilled at composing a manga page, and she has several volumes already published, and she is my #1 inspiration when it comes to self-publishing manga. That is my dream dream, and her story is super cute. And the very last question comes from Elle Baston. Hi, Elle! What are some other stories besides Supernova and Fable Forest that you came up with or want to make? So I have quite a few ideas in mind for new stories that I haven't mentioned at all yet, but I think I'd like to just keep those ones to myself for now until I start fleshing them out more. But for stories that I've developed a little bit more and have already mentioned in the past, the biggest one that might be next in line to focus on behind Supernova and Fable Forest is The Stolen Hour. It's set in the same universe as Fable Forest and follows Mars' little cousin Twyla, who grows up in a city that has a strict curfew. All the residents must leave back to the residential areas before the sun sets. By accident one day, Twyla finds herself out after the sun goes down, like in the city, and it's almost like it's a completely different city entirely. She's helped by a kind but mysterious nocturnal resident to get home before anyone in her family finds out she's there, or anyone in the city finds out she's there, but her piqued curiosity has her looking for ways to kind of sneak back into the forbidden nocturnal version of her city, stealing the little hours before sunrise to get more out of her day, because she needs all the time she can get if she's going to be able to study enough to pass her final exams. The story's in development, but I am so excited to work on that one more. I have another little story, not really a story per se, but a collection of characters all in the same setting. This one I think would lend itself better to a collection of short stories rather than a long-form narrative. It's called Twin Bakers of Seaside Town, and it follows Claire and Mac, twins who live in an adorable seaside village, each running their own bakeries, specializing in eclairs and macarons respectively. It's about their rivalry between each other and also the other bakers in town, plus the visitors we meet along the way. It's very cute and lighthearted and feel good, and it's a story concept I've held on to a very long time, and I always get a burst of motivation to work on it whenever I go on vacation to a beachy town. Anyway, that's all the questions I'll answer for today. Thank you so much to everyone who asked questions, and I hope I gave answers that satisfied your guys' curiosity. If you've been watching the time-lapse, I hope you've enjoyed watching my process for putting a comic page together. This is actually the very first page of the webcomic that was made in Procreate. All the rest of the pages were made in Clip Studio Paint. Going forward, I'm actually probably going to continue making it in Procreate just because it's a little bit easier for me to use. Clip Studio Paint is on my Windows desktop and Procreate's obviously on my iPad, and I don't have a screen tablet for my desktop computer. It's just like a regular tablet that I've had since literally, like, how long now? Wow, I must have been like 14, 15, like 2011 or 2012 when I got that, but it still works and it's like still going strong. But the only thing is that I've just gotten so comfortable drawing on a screen with the iPad, and also I've noticed my art improving a ton more once I started using Procreate on the iPad versus Clip Studio Paint. And that's why I think for now going forward, until I'll do my research and see if I can find an affordable screen tablet for my other computer, but for now I think it would be the best if I just continued it on Procreate. But yeah, I will be continuing it. I hope that that's good news for you. To be honest, right after I finished this page, I got like a renewed sense of motivation to keep going, and I always knew like this story, I want to see it through to the end, and we've come across some hiccups in time where I like can't work on it for a period of time, but the desire is still there within me, and I was sort of going back and rereading the whole comic and kind of just falling in love with it all over again. So as far as page output, like from now till the end of the year, it's going to be very slow, if at all, but the next pages I make probably will remain. This one will probably go public on Tapas soon, but I want to start building up a backlog again, so there might be a period of time where the next couple of pages for the comic might remain patron-only access until I build up enough of a backlog that I can start releasing them on a good schedule again. And I don't know, I'm thinking about whether or not I'll stay with Tapas. I'm still thinking about that. There's a few other platforms that are on my radar to try out, but for now it's there. I don't think I'll ever take it down from there. I might just re-upload the pages elsewhere if I'm allowed to. I don't know if Tapas has any weird rule where I'm supposed to only keep the comic there, and if it does, then that would be the reason for me to just delete the account, because it's just not worth it having my pages be held hostage on one platform just because of their terms and conditions. That would be probably the main reason why I would want to switch in the first place anyway, if that's true. But yeah, so when you do eventually see more pages, I hope you really enjoy the story and enjoy where it goes. It is already plotted out, like, I would say a good 80-85% it's done. I'm just not worrying about that last 15% until I get there, to be honest. But I definitely know the direction where it's going, so it's just a matter of drawing the pages. So I hope you look forward to that in the story. This story, it's nothing like groundbreaking or special, but it's mine, so it's special to me, and I hope that you find enjoyment in it as well. So you'll notice here too, the way I color each comic page. Usually what I do is I focus on one character at a time, and then I color in the character's hair, and then the character's poncho or something, and then the character's hair accessory. I just sort of go in order in that way, and then sometimes also what I'll do if it's multiple. So I think for this one I just focused on coloring spring first and then going to orchid. Oh, I don't remember, I'm sorry. But I think I did, or you know what, I think I colored spring first and then the nightmare fly monster and then orchid. Oh yeah, I guess we can talk about what's happening in this page because you're probably a little confused. I mean, I put the first few pages up in the beginning of the video so you wouldn't be that confused. So we're picking up in chapter 5 of the webcomic where the Four Seasons and Stella are on their first sort of dream world mission, and Spring ends up getting separated from the rest of the team, and she ends up lost in this big sky garden, and she eventually runs into Orchid, who is from another team, which she doesn't know is a rival team. And she also doesn't remember what her own team's name is, so when she was introducing herself, he didn't know what team she was on. So they're friends for now, but in a couple of pages that might change. But he's kindly helping her back to her group, and then all badness is gonna break loose when the groups actually meet up. It's gonna be pretty interesting. He's also a praying mantis, so he's friendly, but he's shockingly carnivorous. Anyway, so that wraps up the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was entertaining to you. And if you like what I do, and if you want to see more of it, please consider following me on my other socials, as well as supporting me on Patreon. Thank you again for 1,000 subscribers, and see you next time. Bye bye!